Jen ran for Congress in 2020, as you may know, against Debbie Wasserman-Schultz. And unfortunately, one of the reasons why so many of these representatives, especially at the federal level, are able to stick where they are, not just because of obviously all the corporate money, but the fact that these districts are so gerrymandered that the only way to actually unseat them is through a primary. So it becomes very difficult in order to do that. And one of the reasons why we think if there is going to be any type of third party evolution in the United States, it is going to be through the Forward Party, because Andrew is advocating for two things that will literally change the electoral infrastructure in the United States. And that, of course, is open primaries and ranked choice voting. So be that as it may, what kind of attracted you to, the Yang Gang and the movement? Was it all about UBI, or was it something more to it than just that?
It was something more to it. So in the very, very beginning, I was a Cory Booker supporter, and Cory Booker was he was a guy who was he was talking about hope and inspiration, and just talking about just a very uplifting type of individual. And he just kind of played on my emotions, and I thought about that. I was like, man, this guy's awesome. He's amazing. I met him. I said, man, you might be our next president. This is before he had even announced or anything like that. I said, man, you might be our next president. But then I looked at the Trump supporters. And I looked at how the effect that Trump had on them. And it was the same way that Cory Booker had on me. And I said, man, I said, how can I talk bad about a Trump supporter or a Trumper when that's the exact same effect that Cory Booker has on me? It's just by my emotional state. I said, no, we have to look for somebody who's actually talking about, solving the problems that have gotten us in the situation in the first place. So I went back on my search and I started looking, and I came across a guy talking about he want to give everybody $1,000 a month. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, And I said, man, let me look more into this. And he started talking about other different things and why he was talking about it. And when he talked about automation, I was like, man, this is pretty cool. But then I went to my Walmart, and I actually had a robot riding around in my Walmart. I was like, oh my God, how many jobs has that automated away just by, we had a robot that was doing inventory and cleaning the floors at the exact same time. So that's pretty much what sold me right there, is that he was the only person that I could find that was actually talking about, solution-based, information, things that could solve the problem that we were facing at that time. So after that, I was sold, man. I was sold on the Yang Gang.
You brought up an excellent point, Jermaine, especially being in South Carolina. You don't have to like Lindsey Graham or Tim Scott, but you know what? Don't hate on their voters. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I see that constantly, especially as you have obviously seen over the last few years, particularly with, a lot of suburban liberals. There's just this knee-jerk reaction to say, you're a terrible person because you voted for somebody that I don't support. That never, ever, ever works. In fact, it will always have the opposite effect of what you're intending. And
it does to me.
Yeah.
I'm obstinate as hell. And if you're going to tell me not to do something, I'm going to do that.
Spoken like a true only child.
Let me tell you, I cannot stand voter shaming. Do not do that to me. I don't want to hear. I am the person that will purposefully vote for the person you're wanting me to vote against.
And I don't want to hear nothing about how, you can't vote one way or the other, especially in South Carolina. I mean, there's probably a lot of people who vote for, let's say, Jim Clyburn, but they also vote for Tim Scott for senator. So you can't. The judgment that is made is very short-sighted. And what I really like about what Andrew has advocated for is this idea of not left, not right, forward. Now everyone's like, no, that's just centrist mindset. Actually, it's not. It's really, let's get the hell out of this one side's good, the other side's bad paradigm, and let's just focus on the issues. That, I think, is the greatest attraction to what Andrew's been advocating for, and why there really is this, like you say, it's small but mighty, but this camaraderie amongst people who support this idea of whether it is UBI, whether it is ranked choice voting and open primaries, there really is this wide mix of a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life.
Reasonable
we're just like,
people.
We're just like, hey, we're cool, man. Let's figure out ways to get things done. I love that.
The reasonable people. Where are you, Jermaine, in South Carolina? Where is your district?
So it's in on the borderline of the city of Columbia. So I'm right here in the Midlands, in the middle of the state, but I represent the lower part of the county. My original district was very, very, very diverse. You know, I had black, I had white, I had everything in between. I had Republican, and I loved my district because of it. You know, it allowed me to talk to people who didn't think like me. You know, I think my black voter age population was only like 30%. You know, so I had to go talk to people who, you know, didn't think like me, and that's what allowed me to really build relationships with individuals. You know, I just had me and my wife just had a baby about 5 months ago. Yes, thank you. And you know who the first person to call me in the hospital was? Called me in the hospital to congratulate me. You know who the first person was?
Yang.
Nope. Ralph Norman. Ralph Norman, the super far right Republican guy out of South Carolina who doesn't do anything Democrat. You know, and he called me in the hospital to congratulate me and my wife on having his baby. So that just lets you know that it's not all about partisan stuff. You know, it's not all about being a Republican or a Democrat. It's about families. It's about, you know, you speaking to individuals, because if I had I not built that relationship with him, had I not talked to him, had we not had, you know, sat down and built that camaraderie, you know, who knows? You know, he would have thought I was just like everybody else, you know, just super far on the left and him being super far on the right, and that there was no type of, willingness to talk to each other. You know, and after me and him got to know each other, man, he calls me, gives me a personal cell phone number. He sent me a signed picture of me and him from Washington. You know, I mean, it's like, dude, people think this dude is a crazy far right guy, but he's like Jermaine. He said, he told me, he says, Jermaine, we need you up here in Washington with us. He said, you are one of the greatest, individuals I've ever met. And he said, we need you in Washington with us because of just how level-headed you are. I said, well, Rob, I said, I don't know if I'm going yet, man. I said, you got to wait on me, brother. So,
well, I think the problem we really have to deal with is the fact that we have too many politicians that really play it up for the cameras, and everyone assumes that that's how they really are in real life, and it can't be, further from the truth. I mean, some of them are. I think Ted Cruz is probably very much like he is on camera, but that's one exception to the rule.
He slithers. That man he is just the snakiest.
But out of all the people, there's always going to be exceptions. Overall, I think people will do what they have to do, whether it's for fundraising purposes or they're trying to look good for their party on committee assignments and all that. But I think there is something to be said for people just being decent. Maybe it's also a South Carolina thing. I don't know. There's
a Southern thing there.
We do have Southern hospitality. It is a real thing. It is a real thing.
That is for sure. And what I think is also important is you are looking at it from how do we be a bridge builder? Because you can cut the tension with a knife in this country right now. It is so hot. It is so vitriolic. But when you talk about this whole idea of, look, it's going to be hard for me to find anything in common with this gentleman who's far right. But if I try, maybe we might get somewhere. And one thing I try to point out on the podcast constantly is that while progressives and libertarians have a lot of differences, we also have a lot of things in common on very specific issues, whether it's civil liberties. We both tend to be very anti-war. And frankly, there's also a lot of commonality regarding healthcare because libertarians know that for-profit middlemen in between us and our doctors have no reason to exist. So we are able to find common ground if we just stay away from the wedge issues.
I think we should stop labeling the people. Like you say, progressives and libertarians. I honestly believe it's just people who believe in reason. That's the whole point of forward. It really isn't a left or right thing. It's a populist thing. It's a labor thing. It's a justice thing. The powers that be make it a left or right thing so that we sit here and fight amongst ourselves. It's not. It's a top bottom thing.
Yeah, I really, to be honest, I really don't understand the whole libertarian, progressive, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Somebody has said something to me, said, you're a progressive, but you're not my type of progressive. I was like, well, what the heck is it? So what the heck does that even mean? I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know. I said, I'm just a person who loves people, who understands that your experiences, all of your life experiences has brought you to where you are today. All of my life experiences has brought me to where I am today. And I can't hate you because you think the way that you think because of your life experiences, So I'm just like, man, let's just talk it out. Let's figure this thing out. Let me explain to you exactly how I got to where I am. You explain to me exactly how and then maybe I can see it from your point of view because you can explain your life experiences. You know, and it's like, but I don't think enough people think like that to where they're willing to hear somebody else's life experiences.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.